Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day and a great start to your weekend. My name is Teresa and over here I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare, and on the weekends I like to sit and talk with you guys about the new makeup and beauty releases that we have collectively found quite interesting. Now I generally do this every weekend, but I've missed the last couple of weekends because I just haven't been feeling that great. So I do want to say a massive thank you to everyone who kind of bore with me through this. It happens every so often. I just get really bad burnout and I'm not able to really do much. I'm still kind of coming out of it. I'm like, there's a million things for me to do, but I just really wanted to do this because it makes me feel quite happy. But I have to say a massive thank you to everyone who did tag me in content for this week, or they have continued to tag me throughout my little hiatus. Your names are being shown right now, but I have to say a massive thank you to my YouTube community members. I really do appreciate you guys so much, and I think particularly like during this last 3 weeks or so where I wasn't really uploading, the fact that you guys still stuck with me, I'm like, you are fabulous and I so appreciate it. So I do want to have a live with you guys really soon because I got a Melt Cosmetics surprise bundle of bits and pieces, and there's definitely some things that I want to put into the goodie pile giveaway box because I do like to do a monthly giveaway with my YouTube members. The lovely Sylvia did win something recently. She went with an eyeshadow palette. But anyways, my lovely YouTube community members, we will do something next week. But let's get into it because we do have a few things to talk about. So please do grab your beverage of choice, maybe a little snack, and we will get straight into it. Nostalgia is heavy these days, and I gotta say, as a 90s kid, I'm kind of here for this. When I was very small, when we were getting ready for primary school in the morning, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was always playing, so I associate that with going to primary school in the morning. So Profusion have done this collaboration with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they've done collaborations before and they've come out with like 1,000,001 things, but I kind of appreciate the fact that this is actually quite dialed back. There's only 4 items in all. There's a 24 shade eyeshadow palette for €20. There's the Ooze Illuminating Glitter Jelly, and they're actually 3 shades but in one big bottle for €11. A handheld mirror for €10, and the Lash Party 4-pair magnetic set and clear adhesive for €15. There doesn't seem to be any sort of a bundle deal to get all of them. I have to say, I feel like the packaging of this makes so much sense. It's so in line with that 90s nostalgia, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm kind of here for it. I think it's really cute. Let's talk about the eyeshadow palette first. So like I said before, it's €20. They say that it's richly pigmented with minimal fallout, and there's matte, satin shimmer and metallic finishes. Now part of what I find interesting about this is a talc free formula. I've said this for the last maybe year or so that I feel like makeup is going to go towards a more talc free formulation, and the fact that we're seeing this now from even more affordable brands, SHEGLAM have started doing it, and now we're seeing it with Profusion. Very exciting. But in addition to having a talc free powder formula, it's also without BHAs, phthalates, sulfate, paraben, triclosan and gluten. So as I said, I feel like the formulas are getting that bit more advanced even with like more affordable brands, and I'm kind of here for it. They also apparently have it infused with vitamin A and E, and it's vegan and cruelty free. Let's talk about the actual shades within. This is so 90s. I can't help but look at this and think, yes, this is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Do I think that necessarily the colour story is very cohesive? I don't know, it's a bit all over the place. However, I can 1000% see the inspiration for this, and I'm kind of here for it. I think it's kind of cute. Do I think that some of the colours are necessarily going to work together that well? I think, like, say for instance, that really bright, vibrant pinky peach, I'm not really sure what to do with that. In line with everything else, there's maybe like a handful of colours from that palette that it could work with, but it can still work with other things. I kind of think it's pretty good, and like €20, it's not bad at all. They've kind of made sure that the packaging is kind of fairly minimal, obviously, to try and bring down the cost somewhat, but I think it's really pretty. Now my issue is when I went onto their website, I couldn't find any sort of swatches, so I don't know, but I will say I find Profusion to actually be pretty good. It's not bad at all, particularly for the price point. I'm going to be really sassy here. I suspect that this is going to be one of those ones that we see in TK Maxx or Nordstrom or whatever your thing is, TJ Maxx if you're in the States. I suspect we'll see that there in the next couple of months, and I'd kind of half get it in that case. If it was like €15, why not? Although like €20 isn't very expensive either, but I'm not going to buy it through Profusion itself because I'm just lazy is the word. I kind of like this. I think it's really, really cute. Again, I'm kind of missing the swatches, but the pictures that they've shown of this have just brought back that 90s, early 2000s. I'm kind of here for it. I love a little bit of nostalgia. And then when we move on to those like jelly glitters, €11 for 3 of them. That's cheaper than the likes of Colourpop, SHEGLAM, etc. I love the little pack that it comes in. It does look like it's like one of those weird little vial-y weapon things. The packaging on it, perfection. That like neon green top looks really pretty. Now, they haven't really swatched them per se, but they've kind of like popped them onto a background and kind of, I don't know, scooped them out, sandwiched them on, knifed them on, I don't know, whatever the verb is. Can you tell I haven't done this in a while? Oh well, there we go. It does look kind of cool. It looks very chemically. I'm intrigued by this. I'd like to see it actually performing because I think it is actually kind of pretty, and I can see some of the shades, how they like link in with the characters. €11 for 3 shades. I don't think that is bad at all. Then they have this handheld mirror. I love that they have these little kind of tassely keychainy things that you could obviously remove if you wanted, because I would just end up playing with these constantly, and they make a lot of sense. You know, there's the pizza there because obviously turtles love pizza. Well, those turtles do. And I was convinced as a child that all turtles loved pizza because I believed everything I saw. And do I think it's the most like amazing kind of handheld mirror that we've ever seen in the world? No, we've kind of been spoiled with handheld mirrors over the last while, but I don't think it's bad at all. Then they have those lashes. I kind of feel like this is a little bit where it gets let down ever so slightly because they look a little bit the way they've presented them with the 90s memorabilia, like 10 out of 10, looks so good, but when you see them kind of taken out, I think just maybe the style of the lash and where they've placed the coloured aspects doesn't quite hit it. Like, I get that each of those colours are there for each of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, by the way, when I was younger, and this was before the advent of the internet, my cousin Tara was staying over with me one night and we couldn't get to sleep for 3 hours because we couldn't remember all 4 of the names of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So thank God for the internet, because we'd have gone to sleep like that. But I can see how each of those are there for the turtles, and it does come, by the way, with an adhesive. They've shown it on the eyes, and do you see what I mean, where it's not like as impactful as it could be? It's kind of almost lost there. Now, I get that they've kind of shown them with the corresponding like eyeshadow colours that comes from the eyeshadow palette, but I feel it does get ever so slightly lost there. Like, I actually have to look for the colour. So I think they could have maybe done it so that it was like the full outside of the lash or something like that. It's just a little bit too subtle. Like, if you're gonna do it, do it. Do you know what I mean? It's not like a bad price at all. I believe they're like £10 or whatever. So I think it's pretty cool. All in all, the collection I feel really hits that whole 90s nostalgia vibes. I think the price point is good. The fact that they're going talc free, phthalate free, all of these things. I'm excited just over the fact that this is the direction that we're going in beauty. I think definitely with the likes of Mokra, etc., that are being enacted pretty soon, that this is going to change beauty for the better, right? We're going to have much safer formulations, and it's just going to be better for consumers in that way. And we're going to start to see, I think, a little bit more kind of innovation when it comes to these sort of eyeshadow formulas, because that's kind of what's going to differentiate brands from each other. All in all, I think this is pretty good. I don't hate it. Then we have BPerfect, and I feel like this kind of flew under the radar. This is their Golden Hour Dawn edition. It's a face and eye palette, and this is the thing, I find it really interesting. You could get the palette together, like all together, for €34.95, as if you're going to get the palette split, like it's obviously all together, the Teresa. But you could get that for €34.95, or you could get the palette and 2 pro brushes for €30. So you get 2 things for free and you'd pay €5 less. So do the math, my friends. I mean, it makes more sense to get the bundle. So apparently this is a multi-use face and eye palette carefully crafted to give you the ultimate golden hour glam anytime, anywhere. They say that it's a summer must-have. It has a highlighter, an under-eye brightener, a powder bronzer, a cream bronzer, a powder blusher, and a cream blusher, including a mix of matte and shimmer eyeshadows. Do I think that this is going to change the world? No, I don't. But I think this is pretty okay for this time of year. I feel like it's super, super safe. Outside of their Stacey Marie collaborations. I feel like BPerfect tend to play it quite safe, and I like BPerfect because they're an Irish brand. I like to see them doing well. I think they're really good formulas. They have some really interesting stuff out there, but I think that they really do need their collabs with Stacey Marie because she tends to push out the boat quite a bit when it comes to those color combinations. Because if I'm 100% honest, I feel like I've seen this from BPerfect many a time before. Do I think it's a bad palette? No, I think this is actually quite pretty. Now, my issue with this is, and I think a lot of you are going to understand where I'm coming from with this is only going to suit a very specific demographic of skin tones, because those bronzers, those highlighters, those under eye brighteners are only going to work for people with maybe like a fair to medium skin tone. So you're really missing the medium to deep. Even when it comes to the eyeshadows, there isn't a massive amount of depth for somebody who has a deeper skin tone. Some of those may not look as impactful as it would look on somebody who has, say, for instance, my skin tone. So I personally feel, and feel free to disagree with me, that's part of what we do over here, totally fine. I feel like they're really missing kind of the golden hour palette for medium to deep and deep to dark skin tones. I think if they come out with like 3 versions of this, I think that could have been really nice. So instead of like, say for instance, having like a pink sort of a blush, if you go to the deep to dark, by the way, if you put a purple onto deep to dark, oh my god, it gives you, it's like how pink blush looks on a paler skin tone. It just looks phenomenal, and I think they could have done that and it would have been absolutely fantastic. I think they're just missing that ever so slightly. I'll show you obviously the bundle that they have as well of like the 2 brushes that come with it. So do you see what I mean when I'm saying you might as well get the bundle? If you're looking at this and you're like, oh, I really want to get this palette, well, A, you probably have something like this palette already. Look in your collection. I'm not telling you to buy things that you don't need, right? But if you decide, yeah, this is kind of perfect for me, I really like this, this will be great for travel, I like a one and done face palette where I can get my highlight, my bronzer, blah, 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 grand. I don't know that many people who do like that. Obviously there are. It's just, it seems that myself and my friend don't tend to go towards that. But I think that's a pretty good deal. For 2 brushes and a whole face palette for €30. It's not bad at all. Again, I just feel like when you have a palette that seems to cater a little bit more towards one demographic than another, it's not exactly best business practice, and I'd like to see some changes on that, and I feel like BPerfect are established enough to potentially do that. So I'd love to see them do that in the future. Then we have Unearthly Cosmetics, and they have basically an eyeshadow palette coming out, but they also have their marbled glowing bronzers in 4 shades. Now, the eyeshadow palette kind of feels like something that we've seen from them a couple of times before. I think Unearthly are quite nice. They do some really nice formulas. I haven't bought from them since they were Alien Cosmetics, not for any particular reason, but I feel like the price is increasing and their kind of colour stories don't inspire me as much as they once did. And that's just a personal thing. If you love this, I'm delighted for you. I do feel like this sort of sunset vibe, we've seen this from many a brand. If you go to Beauty Bay, you can get something similar. Like even the kind of metallic-y, shimmery shades, they look fine. They look nice. Am I gonna pay, I don't know how much they're saying this is. Yeah, $46. Not the most expensive that they've actually put these things down for. Am I going to necessarily pay $46 for a 12 pan palette that is predominantly matte? Or will I go, for instance, the tropical palette with Beauty Bay, which is about €18? I mean, have a little think about it, is what I'm saying. For me, they tend to not really be on my radar, simply because I'd have to pay taxes, duties, etc. Those of us in Europe, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to taxes and duties roulette. It is just a whole thing. It's not fun. The other thing that they have are those marbled glowing bronzers, which I think is kind of interesting. Marbled, you know what I think about marbled shades. They kind of hurt my brain. I'm like, finish the mixing process. I get that they look aesthetically very pleasing, but my brain is like, is it always going to be the same? Do I have to mix this before I put this on? I know, I'm being very petty. It's not a big deal at all. Glowing Bronzer, that's going to depend upon the person. Some people love more matte bronzers. Some people quite like something that's like kind of demi-matte, has a little bit of shimmer. I wonder, looking at this, how much of this is actually, it's quite shimmery, but it isn't, it's more like a demi-matte-ish. Yeah, it's not like full on glittery bronzer, which is good. I personally don't like that. Now, I quite like, my preference is a matte bronzer. I love a cream bronzer. They're beautiful, particularly with my skin because I'm dry, I'm aging, I know, 34, it's a whole thing. But I don't like glowy bronzers too much, and the reason why is they tend to catch a huge amount of texture. So for me, the fact that they've kind of swatched this on the hand, I'm like, okay, it'll look nice on the hand, but what's it going to look like on the face? I want to see this actually applied. Now this is one of those ones that they haven't fully revealed it, because it's going to go live on June 27th at 11 AM CST. This is one of those ones that isn't actually a pre-order, because they've been doing a lot of pre-orders. So when you order it, it is going to be put out pretty much straight away. The positive thing that I have to say about these bronzers are that I appreciate that it comes in fair, light, medium and deep. I like that. I think that is smart. We need to have a depth when it comes to bronzers, so at least they've considered the deep. I like that. However, this is the other thing that I want to say about bronzers. When you think about bronzers, you also have to consider people's undertones, right? If somebody is a very kind of pink undertone versus an olive undertone versus a yellow undertone, these bronzers are all going to look quite different. So I think that whenever you're looking at complexion products, it becomes quite difficult to try and get the kind of right balance of hues so that this comes off as bronzer rather than contour on other people. Now they're going to retail for $16 each, the bronzer, so I actually don't think that is too bad at all. I feel like they're kind of adjusting their prices somewhat, so I'm kind of here for it. Oh my god, this next one. I think this is very interesting. There's a lot of stuff that is coming out from the Asian market, and I feel like it's just very interesting. This is the brand Anthemy, and it's the personal brand of Kun Kun Vio, which is a popular beauty blogger, and apparently he really likes to do like the whole butterfly aesthetic. So you can kind of see that with this palette called the Butterfly Shadow and Backlight 12 color Chameleon eyeshadow palette, and it's retailing for €62.52, and you're going to get 11.5 grams of product. There's 12 shades in total, 2 Chameleon eyeshadows, 2 polarized pearlescents, 1 silver glitter and 7 mattes. Now they do say that the dark matte powder is generally used for deepening and it's applied on oily areas. In order to adhere better to the eyelids, it's deliberately made a little drier, but smudges are completely fine on the eyes. So they have been very transparent about how they're actually doing this. I'm really enjoying stuff that's coming out of the Asian beauty market, and let me tell you for why. They're coming out with some really interesting color stories, but there's also some really interesting sort of textures and formulas. Like we're seeing Chameleon eyeshadows, but there's also polarized pearlescents. Excuse me, that is very interesting. I also feel like €62.52, yes, it's expensive, but I've definitely paid more for other eyeshadow palettes. So I feel like this actually isn't too bad at all. And I mean, look at those swatches. Look at them with your eyeballs. I love the color combinations. That minty green in there is so interesting. That pale pink. There's a good level of depth, a good level of light. I just think this is genuinely very pretty. And they've kind of swatched this a couple of different times. The issue that I do have with the Asian beauty market is that when they do show swatches, it tends to be on much more fair skin tones, which is kind of their whole demographic. That's fine, grand, that's who they're selling to. But we're in a very globalized market at this point, and I personally would love to see these swatched on a range of skin tones to show how these would look, because my experience is when you look at these Chameleon shadows, they look even more impressive on darker skin tones. Like, just for them, for marketing, I feel like they would do so much better showing it. But I mean, it does look beautiful. There's even like a look done with it on the eye, and it is just so beautiful. This is, I'm gonna say it, what I want Kaleidos makeup to be. Again, do you remember when Kaleidos did really interesting makeup and then they went very like boring, and now they're doing really interesting hair color, and I'm like, what is going on? This is the sort of stuff I want Kaleidos to do. But now we have Anthemy, and I do think this is really very pretty. The sparkle, there's something very ethereal about it. It is just, it's given me fairy goddess, and I'm kind of here for it. I think it's very, very, very pretty. I like the colour story. I kind of feel this is a brand that is going to be on my radar from now on. I think it's genuinely really, really interesting. And now we're on to Gloss Gods. So they said that they were coming out with something new, and I was like, God damn it, why are you coming out with something new? How dare you? Because I love Gloss Gods. You guys know I'm an affiliate. I'll have a code down below if you want to get anything from them. Anything that has like an asterisk next to it is, as always, an affiliate link. So I was very excited because they were kind of saying something to do with clouds, and I was like, oh my god, is it a pastel eyeshadow palette? Because by the way, I love their stuff, but I am an eyeshadow person. It is my jam. Hard to tell right now, but there you go. But they said that they were coming out with their Gloss Gods Hybrid Cloud Bronzers, and there's 3.5 grams of product in them. They're €15.95 each. Now, you guys know I love, love, love Gloss Gods, but I am going to say this. There are 3 shades, right? There's On Cloud 9, which is fair to light. There's Head in the Clouds, which is light to medium, and On a Cloudy Day, which is medium to deep. Do you see where I'm going with this? I'm a little bit frustrated that they have omitted deep to dark. Again, they haven't really considered different undertones and how that could potentially work. I do have their liquid bronzers, and I do think they're really, really great because they have put together like a bronzer kit where you can get a brush, the powder bronzer and the liquid bronzer together for €36.95. So fantastic. I do wish they expanded on this, but I do understand that they are an indie brand, so it's not like they're working with the funds that Pat McGrath has, for example. So I totally get it. However, that's my kind of, I don't know, critique, my evaluation. I'd like to see them extend that. I'd almost prefer if a brand waited and had at least the variation of fair to light to deep to really kind of include as many people as possible. Because even when I'm looking at the On Cloud 9 fair to light, I'm a bit worried that might be a bit dark for me, you know? And I will say, I always thought I was very, very fair. I'm not actually that fair. I deluded myself into thinking I was that fair. I'm an Irish fair, but I often think about, you know, the wide variety of skin tones that we're looking at, and there's definitely people who are fairer than me, and I'm not sure how they could work with this. At least with the liquid bronzer, you can kind of build that up. Now, I'd say you could build this up as well because it does seem to be the same sort of tone. So I think they really needed to get an even fairer selection in there and a deep selection in there. So I think they could have come out with 5, and that would have been really, really strong. Because fun story, I got the Natasha Denona powder foundation and I was trying it the other day, and I stupidly got the lightest shade because historically I have found that anytime I've gone for the lightest shade, it works for me. That was way too light. That is made for a very, very fair skin tone, which, by the way, fantastic, Natasha, that you've done that. But I've just spent money on a foundation that I can't use. Unless I like try and figure out how to use it for highlighter, but yeah, I'm an idiot. So there you go. Apparently they say that this will give you a light velvety texture. It's natural and buildable. So this is where I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I could possibly get away with the lightest shade. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's blurring and translucent, which I like. They say skin looks like skin, and there's a hybrid formula which blends the quality of powder and cream. That I'm interested in. As I have said 5 million times before, I have a drink skin. That's right, enjoy that. So I find that the older that I get, powder becomes a little bit more difficult to work with in that it kind of settles in texture. It shows everything off. It shows how decrepit and run down I actually am. Whereas cream is a lot more forgiving. But the downside of cream is that it tends to kind of wear and break down pretty quickly, particularly if you have combination skin where there's areas where there's oil. Now, that doesn't happen to me. I am dry to normal, so I just find cream in general works for me. But I think the cream powder hybrid formula, it is genuinely quite interesting to me. So it's not a bad one at all. Again, I think they could definitely expand on the range, but not a bad one. Then, can I just say, when I saw this, and I need other people to agree with me because I want an echo chamber on this, I thought this was P. Louise. Do you remember when P. Louise came out with their little cream blush things and it had the heart shapes? This ain't P. Louise, this is SHEGLAM. This is their Flush Crush Cream Blush palette. Can I just say, well done me on saying that and not tripping over the words. There are two colour variations. One is the Blushing Bouquet, and that's the pink one, and the other one is Cottage Core Garden, which is more orange, and they're $9.49 each. They say that it includes 6 heart-shaped cream blushes. The palette offers a gorgeous natural flush effect with the potential to build up your pigment or mix and match, because we like a little bit of makeup science. Plus, these blushes feature a silky texture to help you spread and blend your flush like a dream. They're alcohol-free, cruelty-free, vegan, fragrance-free, gluten-free, silicone-free, paraben-free, and talc-free. Now, that's not very surprising considering it's a cream formula, but again, the fact that they're even advertising it shows that the whole talc-free thing is becoming more of a thing. Again, they're paraben-free and they're silicone-free, so that's quite interesting. I'm intrigued. I think they look really, really pretty. Let's look at the Cottage Core one first. I don't feel like this is entirely orange either. There's definitely like some pinky variations in there. And by the way, I was also looking on the website, they have the powder version of this as well. So if you like to have a cream and a powder of each other, there is an alternative around that. It looks really pretty. They look really nice on the skin as well. I do find their products are quite nice. I haven't bought anything from them in a while, but they're not bad at all. The pink one is very, very on trend. I feel like pink blush isn't really going anywhere at the moment. Do you remember when orange was all the thing? I just love blush in general. It's like a disease at this point. I love it. There's some very fair shades in there, so I like even seeing Tulip Dreams swatched on a deeper arm, I'm like, oh god, that would make you look like a corpse. So I don't know how that would work for everyone. I do appreciate the fact though that they have said this is potentially used for mixing, so I guess you could like put Tulip Dreams in with like maybe Geranium or Bleeding Heart, but it's probably a little bit too pale for a deeper skin tone, but it looks really nice. I'd like to see them do a purple version of this. I think that could look really, really nice. Not bad at all. $9.49, so that's like what, $1.50 per shade. As I said, they have the powder version as well, so if you want to check that out, it is available right now. We also have some Pride stuff, because obviously it's June, it's the time when everyone does a little bit of rainbow washing. However, MAC for years have always been really, really good to the LGBT community. They have had their Viva Glam program in place, god, it must be like 20 years, something like that. They are iconic in that sense, so I will not have a word be said on that. I really appreciate it. This is their 40 Shades of Pride eyeshadow palette. Now, if anyone else came out with a rainbow palette for Pride, I'd be like, oh, how innovative. However, with MAC, you're looking at some really good formulas. I don't care if you disagree with me. I think they're really, really good. And the thing is, yes, it's expensive. It's £150, but actually if you were looking at getting a single MAC shadow, that's way more expensive. So it's working out as being a £3.75 per shadow. So not bad at all. But here's the thing that I really want you to consider. They've put down on their website that 100% of the RRP, so the recommended retail price less the VAT, of their Viva Glam lipstick sales go to the MAC Viva Glam Fund. But they have said that each colourful palette gives back 100%. So even though they've said that it's the Viva Glam lipstick sales, that's what's put on the website, they have basically said that 100% of the price of this palette, £150, goes towards the MAC Viva Glam Fund, and that supports organisations that promote healthy futures and equal rights for all. I think this is really, really great if somebody is looking for anything rainbow-esque. MAC is very good quality. Let's have a little look at those swatches. I think they look quite nice. You have definitely some nice colour stories in there. You have enough there to do like a very neutral sort of a balance out there. You have your greens, your blues, your purples. There's a little bit of pastel in there as well. You have essentially enough to do a sunset out of it. I'm gonna say it, I think that's pretty darn good. £150. It's apparently limited edition, so if you want to get it, best to get it sooner rather than later. I do generally like to get stuff from their Viva Glam collection. It's normally the lipsticks that I go for. I don't think this is bad. I think I can see a lot of like MUAs going for this because the value of this is really, really good, and the packaging, I just kind of want to squish it. It looks really squishy. So I kind of like that. I don't think that's bad at all. I mean, if you're going to do a rainbow palette, you give money towards the appropriate organizations. And they've done it. So well done, MAC. Do I think the color story is revolutionary? No, it's a rainbow. It is what it is. But I think it's actually quite useful for what it is. I can see this being a good investment for somebody who maybe kind of early on in their makeup career, maybe an MUA, maybe you do stage makeup, etc. I think it's pretty good for that. Then we have Patrick Ta, and I know I was just talking about cream products there from SHEGLAM and how they have the powder products. That's like the alternative to it. Patrick Ta, I mean, let's be real, has been doing this for years now. I think he's been doing it for 5 years. And if you know him, you will know those amazing blush duos. I have a few of them and they are stunning. They're really, really beautiful. He now has the Major Glow Crème and Powder Light Reflecting Highlighter duos, and they're going to be available on Sephora June 14th. Oh, they're $40 each. They're so expensive, but they look very, very pretty. I appreciate the variation in shades here as well. Like, it does look like there's a light to deep here, which is very, very nice. And he's kind of swatched them on his hands, but the swatches are kind of tricky to get, so I didn't include them here. But I think you can see in the pan, they do look really, really nice. I think this is a really smart kind of release from him. I would probably go with the silvery one and the pinky one. I like those. $40, so that's going to be what, 30 something euro. Now normally Cult Beauty etc stocks them, but I find they're not great at restocking. Like, his stuff is constantly like going out of stock there, which I suppose is great for him. Annoying if you're a consumer. But I remember at the beginning of his career he did come out with something along this line. So I'm assuming he's probably like reformulated, because according to Trend Mood, this highlight gives you compliments on your skin. Translucent to create that dimensional glow effect infused with just the right amount of ultra refined shimmer. Good. I don't really want to look like him at Twilight Extra. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just not into it. There's moringa and shea butter, so I suppose that would be really, really good if you're a dry-skinned human like myself. And there's multifaceted pearls, because why not? We like to be multifaceted. I think this is really pretty. I want it. End of. That's all I have to say about it. I do think it's really nice. Then we have Danessa Myricks, and she has a new addition to the Yummy Skin family. I mean, she's all about the yummy skin. She has the Blurring Balm, which I have on my desk right now. I love this. I reach for this quite a bit. My issue with Danessa is it's either very hit or very miss, right? Some of her things are like my absolute holy grail, and then there's other things that I'm like, I'm not so sure about this. My Groundworks, you guys know all the stuff around that. It's already grown mold and it's meant to last for 12 months, so like, not great. Anyways, that's not the point of this. This is the Yummy Skin Lift and Flex Concealer. Now, let us talk about this. There are 20 shades, but Danessa is showing us that you don't have to have a massive amount of shades to make sure that you have a good range. They're $30 each. They're plant-powered ingredients plus vegan squalene, vitamin E, and hyaluronic acid. Again, that's great for those of us who have aging skin. That's going to really help plump out any of those fine lines under the eyes. They're $30. They do say it's clinically proven to lift and smooth. I take all of that with a pinch of salt. They're going to be $30 each, which I feel isn't too bad. The shade range, really, really good. So they have 20 shades, and even though you're kind of thinking 20 seems like a small number, they do have a really good range here. So you're looking at the dark to deep here from shades 17 to 20, 13 to 16 then is tan to dark, medium to tan are shades 9 to 12, and then we have our light to medium, and then finally we have the lightest shades. Now I do think they could probably go one shade lighter and definitely one shade darker. I'm just saying, because I think you could probably add to it ever so slightly, but that's me being very pernickety, very, very pernickety. I'm kind of interested in this. I don't need more concealers. I really, really don't, but they do quite nice. I'd like to know a little bit more about like the undertones of each one. Like, is there a neutral undertone? Is there, you know, an olive undertone, a yellow, pink? What's the story? Because they have presented them on the models and that gives a little bit of context, but I'd just like to know a little bit more. But it isn't coming out until, is it July 2nd? So, I mean, we'll get more information as we go. I like kind of some of the information that they've given it seems that they've changed the kind of like doe foot applicator, so it's a target dose tip, so it's meant to pinpoint concerns like blemishes and redness, and there's a curved reservoir well where you have perfect doses of product for areas big or small. I'm kind of here for that. I like a little bit of innovation. I think it's interesting to see people trying kind of some new things. I'm kind of here for it. I feel like probably the shade 2 would suit me because I'm learning again, not as pale. Maybe it's the sunshine. I'm getting a bit of colour despite constantly wearing SPF. But yeah, I do feel like maybe they're quite yellow leaning. They do look quite yellow leaning. Oh, that may not work for me because I'm not yellow leaning. I think somewhere between like pink to neutral. I don't know what I am. I'm having an identity crisis, but I think it's quite interesting. The very last thing that I want to talk about is Mutant Cosmetics. I did recently talk about some products on Swatching Sundays with them. I think they're quite an interesting indie brand based in the UK. This is sort of a sneak peek, so I don't have a huge amount of information on them. They've just said, we've been working hard behind the scenes to bring you 7 new chrome liquid lipsticks, shifty sparkly with a non-sticky formula coming soon. I don't know about you, but those swatches make me want to weep. I love the red, I do. That is making me think Queen of the Damned, and I kind of like it. Now, I did see Smink Beroenda, who I absolutely adore, comment on their Instagram asking, is it going to give like a glossy finish? What's the story? So apparently yes, Beauty Moon did say it seems to be more of like a glossy finish. So if you're looking for something that kind of dries down, this ain't going to be it for you, but you can kind of see that based upon these swatches. I'm intrigued for sure. I think this is very, very interesting. Do I want all of them? Best not to talk about that. But I have found that they're quite affordable. They're not like crazy priced. So I'd definitely think about it. But my gorgeous friends, that's it for this week. I know I didn't post during the week about anything that was coming up, but there you go, it is what it is. Because I've been gone for so long, I chose 2 favourite comments. The first one was from the fabulous Tamsin Silva, who said, I have the OG Natasha Denona Gold palette and I still want the new one. I hear you. The old one has blue, which is beautiful as those shades are. I don't use, I feel like I would use this one, which is totally fair. And I think that may be why she kind of omitted those. Now I do again have the OG one. It's there sitting on my shelf. I love it. And I do want to get the new one. I am an affiliate, blah, blah, blah. There you go, whatever. But I do want to get it and I want to kind of compare them because I know she's apparently changed the formula. And that is interesting to me. The fabulous Janet also had this comment. And I do want to kind of talk about this again because I am also baffled by this. She said, I'm baffled by the great lipstick heist. Now, again, go back to that video where I was talking about Wicked Widow Cosmetics and the fact that their crow lipsticks were stolen. And I cannot understand that because it's so easily identifiable that it's theirs. Do you know what I mean? Like, what would you get from stealing that? Because you couldn't sell it without showing yourself as being the thief. What advantage did anyone gain from that particular thing? If it was something like NYX, whatever, like Elf, even the fabulous Wilma commented on this and said, like, if it was one of those, that would make sense because they have many distributors, so you could kind of get away with that. But I'm like, this is so stupid. This is a ridiculous heist. Why would you do that? It's sort of like, you know, when people like buy or steal like famous paintings, it's like, but it's so easily identifiable that it's you that has done this, you silly goose. I don't know, it's really, really strange, super specific, but there you go. Anyways, my gorgeous friends, thank you so much for watching. I'm probably a little bit out of sorts because I'm still kind of a bit afraid and frazzled and whatever, but I missed doing this. And yes, taking the break is helpful for me, but I don't want to be away from it for too long. This is my joyful place. And I'm sorry, you have to join with me in it. Thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell because it's polite, and do please share because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross, but that's it. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.